It's Hololive time! Hello, welcome to another figure review. Today we're going to have a look at the figma number 552. It's Shiranui Flare from Hololive Japan, Generation 3 Holofantasy. We're rounding off the gang. We already got Picora, we got Russia, and the rest is on the way. And you know me, I love my VTubers, and the Hololive designs are some of the best out there, so I had to get Flair. Comes with a bunch of good stuff. She has a little fairy body, the bow and arrow, and without further ado, I want to have a look at the figure.
Hello, overseas brothers. Thank you. 全然ねえや.
First and foremost, stands on her own, even without the base, which is always a plus, even though she has some high heels, but it works. So, overall size of the figure, slightly over 14 centimeters, almost 14 and a half to the top of the head. If we're going to the ribbon, that would be 14 and a half, and I think it's like almost 5.5 inches to the top of the head. Size comparisons. Here's Jolter, Pecora and Russia, Racing Nero Claudius, Nenoroid Gargura, Yasage Figart Son Goku, Naka Michelangelo, and Darkseid.
Ora, 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 ora. Ora, 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 ora. Ora, 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 ora.
Overall look and detail of the elf, I can confirm that most of it on my copy, especially the paint, does look clean. We have some small imperfections here and there, but I have a look at that in just a second. As I started off with the face sculpt, have a lovely smile on there, the fiery eyes, which have a lot of orange, lots of stuff going on there. Two lines of hair in the white, which is covered up nice enough, and then we have the floaty ribbon in the back, a little bit too floaty for my liking. It's kind of just wriggling around. Have the elf ears on both sides, and the hair sculpt is also very beautiful. It has a little bit of float to the side, but it looks super clean. Like sometimes with these small edges, you know, it looks a little bit too rounded, and obviously it's not 100% sharp, but the look of it is really good. And then we move down to the boba. Also, I'm terrified of these pieces. They're like soft plastic, but the little gold ring which connects it to the collar, it's so tiny, and I'm just afraid of it snapping off, so be very careful with that, be aware of that. The line work on the collar itself is good. We have a little bit of orangey red on there. Yeah, I'm a little bit colorblind, so is this orange or is this red? It's kind of like a tone. I think it's mostly orange. Got the boba with the sculpted detail in there, and also in the back there's like a bunch going on. You have like more orange red on the belt buckle, and she also has like a little bit of a butt window. Well, it's not quite a butt window, it's a little bit too high for that, but more molded detail. I kind of love the ornaments she has molded on the outfit, and we have two more of these tiny things in the back. This one is molded on the figure, so it's less likely to snap off, which is very securing. But I want to also highlight the little pieces on the side. Like the paint over here is very clean, considering that they had to paint these small edges on there. That's really good. Now for the gloves, you always have like one finger which isn't in the glove, so there might be some bleeding in some copies, and also the paint doesn't really completely line up with the rest of the skin tone because they had to do it a little bit thicker, had to add a little bit more layers to cover up the black. And speaking of thick, yeah, she has some badonkadonks in there, and also some small windows in the pons over here. Some small holes, that is, not really windows, but you know what I mean. It looks good, and it's also painted well. Down to the legs with the one stocking on one side and the duotone shoes. Now once again, the ball joints kind of stand out, not lining up completely with the skin color. And we also have, I think I saw some bleeding in the shoes. There are like small spots of white in there, and also a little bit on the side over here. But still, overall, I am pleased.
Oh, oh, short cut.
For the articulation, I'm going to start off with the hair. It is on the ball hinge, so you can move that up and down and also rotate it. As I mentioned, the ribbon kind of rotates with it, which isn't great. Then the hat, they left a lot of room in there, so you can move it to the back, can move it forward quite nicely. Does tilt side to side, also very good. And is it just kind of disconnecting? Yeah, I guess you can pull it up a little bit with the ball in there. You have like another ball hinge in the neck and another ball in the back. But yeah, it works well, goes all the way around. This is one of the better ones. I mean, I had a lot of room to play around with. Now I have a little bit of trouble with the ball hinges in the shoulder because, as you can tell, it kind of seems like it's coming apart, and I'm once again terrified of that. And speaking of terrified, I need to take the thumb off of that. So it moves up and down, and usually they hollow this part out a little bit, but they didn't do that so much. Like, there is a little bit of a spot, but that's as much far down as the arms go. You don't have like a full straight movement to the downward, and also you can rotate it. Movement to the downward. That's not good English, but anyway, you can bring this up, and you can also rotate it on the shoulder. Then we have the elbow hinge, has a simple ball hinge. Also, shout out to this ball hinge, it looks really natural if it bended all the way. Obviously sticks out in the front a little bit, but not too much. Have another ball hinge at the fist, so you can bring that up and down, and also can be swiveled. No issues there. We have the chest area. It's fairly limited because the chest is quite nice. I mean, it's quite big, so you have some back and forth motion, does tilt side to side, and does also swivel all the way around. With the hip part, we have a dislocating, well, not really dislocating, but one part which you can pull down for some more hip movement, can get it actually into sitting pose, no problems there, and also does tilt side to side, and also can be rotated. Let me hold on to the thighs up here. Well, a little bit, obviously the dress is holding it back. This is soft plastic, but it's still fairly thick, so it does get in the way. You have the leg, moves out to the side, moves forward quite nicely, and also goes to the back in an angle because the butt gets kind of in the way. Speaking of the butt, it's Panzer time. It's a little bit too late for that, but there you go. It's kind of a thick butt. Also, the Panzer part is a little bit of a different color because it's soft plastic, so it does stand out just a teensy tiny bit. We have swivels on the thighs, but they are so stiff that it's really hard for me to even show you. So this side, I kind of tried to loosen up a little bit, but yeah, you can tell. There you go, you can swivel this around, and then you have a simple ball hinge in the knee. Actually, also this one doesn't go up that far. Once again, I mean, they did hollow it out. It seems to be clashing still. And then the foot is on the ball hinge, goes forward all the way to the back, and does tilt side to side.
Pikachu, Pikachu, Pikachu.
For your accessories, as usual, you got the figma base with all the hinges over here, which you can also rotate on the lower half and rotate this part. And also you have a little attachment for her fairy, Kintsuba, that's the name, right? Rotate over here and rotate over there. So that's really cool because I think like Pekora and Rusha didn't get that. Speaking of the fairy, here it is, I don't know. Looks fairly clean, has some bleeding in the black. Also pretty glossy, and it has a hole in the back so we can connect them, and the head is also, I'm not sure if it's like a ball or a swivel, but I can't move it back and forth, so I'm just gonna guess it's a swivel. But they got that little guy. And we also have the bow and arrow. Looks very simple, but accurate to the character. Here I have the bow and the arrow with a little bit of orange on the back, and also some metallic in the front. Now, there's also the back. I forgot that. Let's get that out of the way because it's boring. Have a different hair piece with the glasses on there, which she likes to display sometimes. Have some bleeding in the hair though, and with the white, looks a little bit weird. And then the face sculpts are lovely, lovely, lovely with the elf ears. Big elf ears. Actually stand out a lot more if you don't have the hair in front of it. But yeah, one winky face and one happy smile face. And then you have the open hand, holding hands for like the bow and arrow, pointy fingers. And this is actually for the arrow, and this one's for the bow. I guess it's just to hold something else, but she doesn't have anything else to hold. So we also have, there is the hand, almost went off the table, but we have one hand with a ring on there. Yay! You did it, guys. Happy Valentine's Day. It was like a couple of days ago, but anyway. And then we have this little ball hinge, which you can use to replace the one in the wrist, and that's it. Final thoughts, and yes, this is not a great release in the Hololive collection. And I feel like even if you don't care about Hololive and VTubers, this is still amazing looking design in all kinds of fantasy settings you want to build up in your figmas. Also, this release is incredibly clean in the paint. That's always like a thing where I'm really iffy about it, but this one looks good. Articulation is mostly standard, and the accessories are everything they need to be. So, obviously, I will recommend this figure because, once again, I feel like in general it's a good release, even if I'm leaving my Hololive VTuber fan bias outside of it. It's a good figure. So, go ahead and pick it up. That's gonna do it, guys. As usual, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this review, hit it up with a like. and subscribe to the channel so you can stay tuned for more figure reviews, card game stuff, and whatever Shiranui Flare wants.
Hi, Daddy!